Engineer. Bakit ako may mega ng 3 million? Oh.
Engineer, statement lang po.
Engineer.
Ngayong araw, Tuesday, August 26, nagsampa po ako ng kaso laban kay District Engineer Calalo para sa direct bribery, corruption of public officials, paglabag sa anti-graft and corrupt practices, at Code of Conduct and Ethical Standards for public officials.
Ginoong Pangulo, ito po ay garapalan at sistematikong pandarambong harap-harapan. Habang ang mga bata ay hindi makapasok sa eskwela at mga manggagawa late sa trabaho dahil sa baha ang kalsada, may mga opisyal at kontratista na nagbubunyi sa kanilang mansyon. Ang una ko pong katanungan, Mr. President, ang pag-i-insert po ba sa NEP o ika nga sa BICAM, kaya bang gawin ito ng isang ordinaryong mambabatas o kinakailangan niyang ika nga maging opisyal o may kataasang katungkulan bilang mambabatas, Mr. President?
Anong nangyayari, Mr. President? Normally, they don't participate. Why? Because sabi nila, pagdating naman sa Congress, kami naman ang bida eh. Mag-i-insert lang kami. Ang problema sa insertions, walang consultation sa end users.
Local, yeah.
Sa local government units. Wala rin consultation sa mga implementing agencies. But, Mr. President, sana man lang, alam natin kung sino yung nag-submit ng written amendments. Kasi meron daw tayong kasama rito. Magdadagdag sa isang department ng 5 billion. Wala namang kasama kung saan kukunin. Ayaw natin marinig ito. No? The Filipino people hate to hear this. And we're also afraid to say it. No? Pero ang nangyayari, pinapasukan ng personal interest eh. Yung insertions, sometimes nagiging supplier-friendly or contractor-friendly. Hindi na iniisip talaga kung ano yung needs and priorities of their constituents. Kaya nga tigas ng katatanggi yung congressman eh. Na hindi akin yan. After owning up, no? By way of billboards, banners, even on Facebook, na siya mismo yung nag-post. Na ako yung nag-allocate. Talagang sabi ko nga, mapag-angking congressman. Now, it's very easy to deny na siya yung responsible sa realignment or sa insertion because hindi mo matitrace eh. Walang record. Sa House kasi, di ba, sabi nga ni Congressman Toby Tiangco, small committee. Isasabit sa small committee and then bahala na. Wala nakakaalam. Walang record.
Grabe ito mga kababayan. Ito nga, isang kontraktor nga po ang nasampulan na at nakulong dahil sa panunuhol. Ito po ay nantangka niyang suhulan itong si Congressman Libiste ng unang distrito ng Batangas mga kababayan. At ayon pa nga po dito kay Congressman, hindi lang umano ito dahil umaabot umano sa mahigit 300 million ang SOP sa mga proyekto kada taon mga kababayan. Grabe. At yun na nga mga kababayan, andito na naman po tayo sa isa namang reaksyon sa mga bago at may init na kaganapan dito sa ating bansa. At eto, kaugnay pa rin nga po ng mga maanumalyang proyekto na yan, ay dumako na po tayo dito sa naging pahayag po itong si Senator Lacson, Senator Soto at saka ni Senator Erwin Tulfo mga kababayan. Panoorin po natin. Pero bago yan, kung bago ka pa lang dito sa ating channel, ay mag-subscribe ka na at i-click mo na din ang notification bell para maging updated ka sa mga susunod pa nating video. Paki-like at paki-share mo na din ang video ito sa iba pa nating mga kababayan. Maraming salamat po.
You're very concerned about the regional development councils, the local development councils. Ang sinasabi ninyo, dapat pag-akyat sa NEP or paggawa ng NEP, nakikinig sa local development councils, sa regional development councils, hindi po ba?
That is correct, Mr. President.
Kaya mahalaga rin talaga itong DBCC na hearing. Ngayon, why are there flood control projects in areas identified by Project NOAA as having little or none flood risk? Why are we spending billions of pesos on projects that these areas, when many areas are drowning during a single habagat? Paano nangyayari po ito? Ibig sabihin, hindi nakikinig doon sa Regional Development Council or yung Regional Development Council ang humihiling?
Mr. President, this is one flaw in the budget process that we want to correct. And I've been very vocal in this regard. No? Dahil year in, year out, and I hope I have always raised this question. Our colleague, Senator Ligarda, when she was chairperson, paulit-ulit ko po yung tanong, bakit 20% lamang ng output ng local development councils, particularly regional development councils, ang na-adapt sa NEP? Imagine 20%, and yet dapat yung bulk ng mga projects, mga PPAs, projects, programs and activities, dapat ang bulk yan nanggagaling sa local development councils. After all, who would know better the needs and priorities of the localities than the local development councils? Ang nangyayari, Mr. President, alam nyo, yung district representatives natin should be represented in the local development councils, and they are. No, even in the barangay development council, they can send their representatives. And then municipal, city, provincial, pwede sila mag-attend, and that's where they should, debate with the local government units na kailangan nila yung mga proyekto rin sa loob ng kanilang district. Na sa ganon, when the budget call comes, nakasama na sa National Expenditure Program yung output ng mga regional development councils. Ang nangyayari, Mr. President, normally, they don't participate. Why? Because sabi nila, pagdating naman sa Congress, kami naman ang bida eh. Mag-i-insert lang kami.
Yun lang.
Ang problema sa insertions, walang consultation sa end users.
Local, yeah.
Sa local government units. Wala rin consultation sa mga implementing agencies. And that's the reason why, again, during budget deliberations, I had always questioned, bakit ang laki lagi ng ating unused appropriations? Nandiyan tayo sa mga 400 billion a year. From 2010, I think, up to 2020, for 10 years, parang ang average natin on a yearly basis, parang 452 billion.
Ang problema dito mga kababayan, halos taon-taon na lang, ganito yung nagiging problema. Iba nga lang ngayon dahil medyo talagang parang sumobra yung pagkagahama nila sa pera sa mga panahong ito mga kababayan. Pero sabi nga ng ilan, matagal na namang nagiging kalakaran talaga yan. Ang tanong, bakit hindi nila nagagawa ng paraan? Bakit paulit-ulit pa rin na nangyayari, no?
Why? Because the implementing agencies would not know how to implement the projects because they were not consulted. And remember when we talked to Senator Mark Villar, some time ago, I thought he would take it against me when he was DPWH secretary. Na binabawasan ko yung budget ng agency niya. And he told us, no, as a matter of fact, we were thankful. Even the other agencies, other departments, were very thankful that you were pointing out that the insertions or the amendments introduced or proposed by legislators, hindi man lang sila kinonsulta. And that's the reason why yung unused appropriations kept adding up. Kasi kung hindi nila alam, wala silang program of works, wala silang planning, paano nila implement? Ang problema nga, Mr. President, and I think ayaw nating marinig ito, no? The Filipino people hate to hear this, and we're also afraid to say it. No? Pero ang nangyayari, pinapasukan ng personal interest eh. Yung insertions, bisan sometimes nagiging supplier-friendly or contractor-friendly. Hindi na iniisip talaga kung ano yung needs and priorities of their constituents. Halimbawa, nakadeploy yung aking, contractor ako, congressman din ako, nakadeploy yung aking mga equipment sa isang lugar. Yung mobilization nun, pag-deploy ko sa ibang lugar, medyo magastos. So doon ako mag-i-insert doon sa lugar na nakadeploy ng equipment ko.
Kahit hindi masyadong kailangan.
Talaga hindi kailangan, Mr. President. And sometimes, alam din naman natin to, Mr. President, na yung pagpili ng mga district engineers, mayroong say ang mga district representatives.
Yun lang.
No? It works both ways, Mr. President. Naglalabi yung district engineer para mapunta siya sa district. Ang gagamitin niyang tagalabi, district representative. Yun naman district representative, gusto niya, bata niya yung district engineer. So pag it has come to a point na Pag nag-insert, minsan, hindi na ito hundreds of millions. Umabot na minsan ng 10 billion pesos in one district. We heard stories about, or based on records, isang district 51 billion, isang district 15 billion. Malulunod sila doon, Mr. President. How can one district absorb, ang tinatawag natin absorptive capacity? How could it absorb 51 billion pesos worth of projects in a district? Tell me, Mr. President.
Imposible. I've heard the NCR mayors complaining. Don't you think it's time that the local executives and the Sanggunians be actively involved in flood control projects?
I believe so, Mr.
localities,
President.
no?
Kaya lang, pag nag-sign off yung local government units, halimbawa, bago makapag-start ng project, yung contractor sa isang munisipyo o sa isang probinsya, at hihingi pa ito ng permit sa mayor, nadagdagan na naman yung ating...
Yun.
Yan ang problema natin, Mr. President.
Ang tanong lang dito mga kababayan, diba pag may budget, dumadaan sa Pangulo. Pangulo ang nagpapasa niyan. Manggagaling sa House, pupunta sa Senate, magkakaroon ng BICAM, tapos ipapadala na sa Pangulo para pirmahan. Katulad po nitong mga sinasabi na ito na bakit may mga distrito na ganun kalaki yung proyekto. Ang tanong hindi ba nakita ng Pangulo na may ganun? Ano yun, pinirmahan na lang niya kahit hindi natin alam kasi base nga po dito sa sinasabi po ni Senator Lacson at ni Senator Toto ay mayroong ganung kalaki na nagiging budget ang isang distrito lang. Umaabot ng ilang billion, 50 billion ba? Ang tanong dyan, bakit pinirmahan? Hindi ba nakita? Pinirmahan? Hindi ba alam? Kaya hindi natin maalis sa isip ng ating mga kababayan na magtanong na dumadaan naman yan sa sa Pangulo, siya naman ang pumipirma. Bakit nakalusot sa kanya? Tanong lang po yun, mga kababayan.
So I think ang pakialam dapat ng mga local government units by way of the local development council sa planning, Mr. President. Dapat diyan sila mas malaki ang pakialam. And then after the completion of the project, may pakialam sila to inspect kung nasunod ba yung specs, kung naandyan ba talaga yung project, hindi ba ghost. I think doon sa dalawang phases na yon, doon dapat may pakialam yung mga local government units. But in the process of implementation, pag binigyan natin ng poder at kumuha ng permit, madadagdagan yung slice ng pie, Mr. President.
So mas pwedeng pakinggan tong sinasabi kasi si Manila Mayor Moreno sabi yung 200 flood control projects daw in Manila worth 14 billion ay wala raw lahat permit. So in other words, hindi kumuha ng permit sa kanila kasi. Pero ang sinasabi naman ni Mayor Joy Belmonte, many flood control projects bypass the LGU not as far as permits are concerned, but as far as the redundancy or alignment with their city plans. So more or less, lumilinya sa sinasabi mo, yung
Yes,
sinasabi
Mr.
ni Mayor
President.
Belmonte. Right. Now, one final question, Mr. President, Your Honor. Do you think it's time we put a cap on how many government infrastructure projects a contractor may be awarded? Let's say a maximum of 5 projects. Tapos hindi annual. Total, ilang daan yung mga napakadami nila. Maraming maliliit, maraming gustong tumulong. Nakukupong ng 15. 500 billion, 15.
Sa tingin natin yan mga kababayan, hindi naman siguro issue yung dami ng proyekto kung maayos naman gumawa yung isang kumpanya halimbawa. Ang problema dyan yung monitoring, yung habang ginagawa pa lang meron ng may ahensya na tumitingin kung tama ba yung mga ginagamit na materyales o nasusunod ba yung plano. Dahil may iwasan ang ghost project. Yun ang talagang dapat maiwasan, ang ghost project. Kasi kung merong gano'n na nagche-check sa mga proyekto, sigurado kahit na sabihin mo ng paulit-ulit yung contractor na yun na gumagawa, hindi siya makakagawa ng mga hocus-pocus doon. Kasi kung bantay sarado mo, kahit na sabihin mong limitado yung ibibigay mong proyekto sa mga kontraktor, 5 proyekto lang kada kontraktor, ang problema kung hindi mo rin babantayan, wala rin sa yun.
I think it's about time, Mr. President, we study the possibility of having a cap. Will you agree to that, Mr. President?
I could not but agree, Mr. President, na kasama nito pag na-revisit natin yung RA 4566, the law that created the pickup. No? Baka pwedeng lagyan natin ng cap. Wag naman yung makopo ng, well, there's always 1,000 ways to skin a cat, so to speak, Mr. President. No? Magagawa lang ng napakaraming corporations o construction companies, yung isang contractor, di ganun din ang suma total, Mr. President.
Pero doon papasok naman yung sinasabi natin sa board na scrutinizein nila ang mga members nitong mga kumpanya na ito at kung sino-sino lang.
I agree, Mr. President. This is really a very complex problem. No? Maganda lang, it has come to light because of the SONA of the President, followed up by his sumbong sa Pangulo website. Kaya medyo nagising din yung ating mga kababayan na maging involved na because after all, these are taxes that they keep paying. No? Pumunta ka lang sa mall, sa grocery, taga ka agad ng 12% VAT. Wala naman lumiligtas sa tax, maski yung tax evader, hindi makaligtas sa VAT. So we should all get involved and we should all really, for a change. No? Kaya nga ako, when I was interviewed once, and I intend to manifest during the hearing, the first hearing with the DBCC. Gusto ko i-manifest, Mr. President, for a change, i-adapt na lang natin yung NEP. So it's all on the executive department. I-monitor na lang natin how, or i-oversee na lang natin how they implement their own budget. No? But you know, it's easier said than done. No? Because we're only one house and we are 24. Of course, some of our colleagues have their own advocacies, no, well-intentioned as they are, na hindi rin naman siguro papayag na as is where is yung ating NEP.
Okay.
But I'm tempted to manifest and even move that we adapt. Wala pa tayong trabaho. I talked to one official from the DPWH. Nilalako na nila yan eh. Sa NEP pa lang, preparation ng NEP, nag-o-offer na sila sa mga legislators o magpasok na kayo rito. So it takes two to tango.
And how do we prevent that, Mr. President?
Well, nangyari kay minority leader, distinguished minority leader. He confided to me. Somebody from the DPWH, an undersecretary, called him up or his staff, ano. Nag-o-offer, sabi niya, sabihin mo kay Tito Sen, magpasok na siya sa NEP. Now, if we don't dance the tango with the other party, hindi mangyayari, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, next to interpolate is the gentleman from Palawan, Senator Erwin Tulfo. I move that he be recognized, Mr. President.
The gentleman from Palawan, Senator Erwin Tulfo, is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. First of all, I would like to manifest, being the Vice Chair of the Blue Ribbon Committee, we have already invited the Philippine Contractors Accreditation Board on our next hearing, Mr. President.
Yan. Yari kayo ngayon.
Mr. President, I rise today with anger and frustration, not just as a legislator, but as a Filipino taxpayer. Because what I heard in the privileged speech of our colleague, Senator Lacson, is nothing short of a national disgrace. Ginoong Pangulo, ito po ay garapalan at sistematikong pandarambong harap-harapan. Habang ang mga bata ay hindi makapasok sa eskwela at mga manggagawa late sa trabaho dahil sa baha ang kalsada, may mga opisyal at kontratista na nagbubunyi sa kanilang mansyon. Now, will a distinguished gentleman from Cavite yield to some direct and very serious question?
Willingly to the distinguished gentleman from Palawan and the Republic of the Philippines.
Ang una ko pong katanungan, Mr. President, ang pag-i-insert po ba sa NEP o ika nga sa BICAM, kaya bang gawin ito ng isang ordinaryong mambabatas o kinakailangan niyang ika nga maging opisyal o mataas, may kataasang katungkulan bilang mambabatas, Mr. President?
Every legislator, Mr. President, is entitled to introduce amendments. Hindi natin mapipigil because all of us, ako mismo, nag-amend po ako, nagsasubmit ako ng amendments. When we had this discussion, I had a discussion with the chairman of the Finance Committee, and right away, I understood where he was coming from when he was reluctant during my interpellation to accept my supposed amendments na i-identify natin yung mga proponents ng mga amendments. When we had this one-on-one talk or discussion, paano naman Senping, sabi niya, may mga kasama naman tayo dyan, mahilig lang magpadagdag. Hindi naman naghahanap kung saan kukunin yung pandagdag. And siyempre, ako tagahanap noon, being the chairman, magagalit naman sa akin yung mga agencies na binawasan ko para idagdag doon sa mga advocacies, doon sa mga proposed amendments ng ating mga kasamahan. And that's the reason why I counter-proposed to him na okay, accepted, pero baka pwedeng, pag nakita ko may umusbong sa isang agency, pwede ko bang tanungin sa iyo kung sino yung responsible na nagpadagdag sa isang agency? And he agreed. And that was good enough for me because I thought at the time that the outcome would be the same. Na ang importante, Mr. President, if something goes wrong with the implementation of the project at na-trace back natin do sa legislator, congressman man o senador, na siya yung nag-propose, somehow, meron siyang shared responsibility to see to it that the implementation of the project na dinagdagan niya ng pondo, maayos. But, if we don't have the mechanism to identify or to backtrack and trace back to the proponent or proponents of the amendments, then wala, malakas ang loob. Imagine, Mr. President, punta tayo sa Nauhan, Oriental Mindoro. Kitang-kita na natin, hindi ko nga binanggit yung pangalan niya because I didn't want to mention any name of any legislator. But, initially when I was discussing with my staff, sabi ko, i-blur na lang natin yung pangalan. Kasi nag-iisa yung mame-mention. But the day before I delivered the speech, sabi ko, teka muna, bakit ba tayo magko-cover up sa kanya? Siya naman ang umaamin. Nakalagay, funded by his office. Tapos nakalagay doon, congressional allocation, accomplishment report. And then when he was interviewed on the same day or the following day after my privilege speech, wala akong alam dyan.
Di ba?
But I also pointed out in my privilege speech na sa NEP, 810 million lang yung nandun . Pero nangyari, pagdating ng GAA, naging 1.9 billion. So sino ngayon nagpasok ng 1.1 billion? Worse, Mr. President, hindi pa sa regular budget kinuha. Kinuha niya from the Special Purpose Fund, from the unprogrammed appropriations which is under the Special Purpose Fund.
Baka nga wala talaga siyang alam. Dapat ang ginawa niya, sinabi niya kung sinong may alam. Kaya lang wala naman siyang pinangalanan kung sinong may kagagawan .
How can you, ngayon lang ako nakarinig na from the regular budget, nag-realign papunta sa unprogrammed appropriations and vice versa. Hindi po nangyayari because yung regular budget, ito yung items in the GAA na talagang ito yung nakakalat sa mga implementing agencies. Now, unprogrammed appropriations under the Special Purpose Fund, ang tawag po dito, standby fund, augmentation. Pag kinapos ang pera sa regular budget, huhugot doon sa unprogrammed appropriations. And there are requirements. Hindi ganun kasimple. Kailangan merong excess revenue collection or merong bagong revenue measure o kaya may approved loan, napakahirap pong i-access. Kaya this will be one of the questions that I will raise before the DBCC to ask DBM paano na nakapag-allocate, nakapag-release ng SARO sa isang proyekto na hinugot yung pera from the program fund. Marami po tayong dapat i-correct, Mr. President, kasi ang pagkaalam ko sa budget natin, tatlo po yan eh. Regular budget, special purpose fund, and automatic appropriations. Now, when will we stop? Baka mamaya pati automatic appropriations i-realign na rin.
Nako.
Okay. Mr. President, sa inyong pong nakaraan na privilege speech, nabanggit po ninyo ang paggamit nga ng unprogrammed funds for flood control projects. Maaari niyo po bang ipaliwanag for the record paano itong mga pondo na ito na na-access at nagagamit despite their nature as one program, Mr. President?
Hindi ko pa maipapaliwanag yan kasi mahirap pong gawin yan eh. Ang pwede magpaliwanag dyan, DBM. Paano na-access yung unprogrammed appropriations para i-allocate sa flood control project. Ang masama, substandard pa.
Sa inyo pong research, Mr. President, were there instances where unprogrammed funds used to finance projects that turn out to be anomalous, incomplete, or even non-existent?
Yes, Mr. President. Doon nga, sa case study namin sa Oriental Mindoro, yung 1.1 billion na nanggaling sa unprogrammed appropriations, yung iba doon nahugot para gawin yung isang proyekto na substandard.
Nako.
Kaya nga tigas ng katatanggi yung congressman eh. Na hindi akin yan. After owning up, no? By way of billboards, banners, even on Facebook, na siya mismo yung nag-post. Na ako yung nag-allocate. Talagang sabi ko nga, mapag-angking congressman. Now, it's very easy to deny na siya yung responsible sa realignment or sa insertion because hindi mo matitrace eh. Walang record. Sa House kasi, di ba, sabi nga ni Congressman Toby Tiangco, small committee. Isasabit sa small committee and then bahala na. Wala nakakaalam. Walang record. Even in our case in the Senate, di ba, ang practice natin, magko-caucus tayo and then the chairman or chairperson will just ask the individual members, magsabit na kayo ng individual amendments. I understand the predicament of the chairman, Mr. President, because if we tackle everything on the floor, hindi tayo matatapos. Kaya ginagawa na lang, for exigency, magsabit na lang kayo ng written amendments. But, Mr. President, sana man lang, alam natin kung sino yung nag-submit ng written amendments. Kasi meron daw tayong kasama rito, magdadagdag sa isang department ng 5 billion. Wala namang kasama kung saan kukunin. I think we should be responsible enough na pag nagdagdag tayo sa isang department, sa isang agency, tayo na rin ang humugot kung saan kukunin. Para kumpleto kasi zero sum yan, Mr. President. Para bang plus minus, we will end up with the same total. Kasi we cannot increase the budget. We can only reduce or maintain the total, the net total of the items or the funds for that particular GAA.
Mr. President, you also mentioned coded budget in Bulacan First District. There were 28 projects all pegged in 77.199 million. Sa dinami-dami po ng ahensyang naghimay-himay ng budget, bakit po nakalusot? Bakit ngayon lang natin ito nakita? Bakit tila hinayaan natin na mangyari ito, Mr. President?
Yun.
The same question lingers in my mind, Mr. President. Paano nangyari? I cannot answer your question, Mr. President.
Mr. President, sa darating po na budget deliberation, paano po ito dapat bantayan, lalo na ng mga parte ng...
Sipin nyo yung mga kababayan, mga senador na po yan, pati sila naguguluhan kung anong nangyari sa mga proyekto, sa mga budget na nakalusot sa pagbusisi ng iba't ibang ahensya. Pati sila hindi nila maintindihan. Ano pa kaya tayong mga pangkaraniwang mamamayan? Grabe talaga.
ng inyo pong grupo ng minorya?
Well, sa akin, one good deterrent is to identify the proponents of the amendments or insertions. Malaking deterrent po yun. Kasi sa ngayon, malalakas ang loob na mag-insert in the billions or tens of billions of pesos kasi alam nila hindi naman sila ma-identify. But if they know that the records would show kung sino yung mga nag-introduce ng amendments or insertions, then that's a good deterrent. Hindi lang yun, Mr. President. Sabi ko nga kanina, there will be a shared responsibility on the part of the proponent or proponents to really monitor yung implementation ng mga proyekto na sila mismo yung responsible for the insertion.
Mr. President, to what extent do members of Congress or local officials have discretion or influence in identifying flood control projects in their areas, Mr. President?
There should be no discretion, Mr. President. Dapat ito nakapasok lahat do sa local development plans being submitted all the way up, from the Barangay Development Council to the municipal or city, to the provincial, and eventually to the regional development councils. I'm glad that the President issued Executive Order number 82, enhancing or strengthening the regional development councils. And I hope maging active talaga yung mga regional development councils, yung mga local development councils in the crafting of the National Expenditure Program. Ang problema, the timing is off. No? I heard from most governors na while the budget call happens sometime in February, March, April, prior to the son of the President, kasi within 30 days, kailang may sabit na yung NEP sa House of Representatives. The problem is, hindi pa tapos yung mga regional development councils. Late na sila. So hindi na sila makakahabol sa budget call. I think DBM or the DBCC, Development Budget Coordination Committee, should take a second look doon sa timing or the pacing of the budget process. Mauna sana dapat yung pag-submit ng mga regional development councils. Anyway, members din naman doon yung mga regional directors ng national agencies, along with the governors. Dapat mauna sila bago mag-budget call. Na sa ganun, nakasynchronize yung mga needs and priorities ng mga local government units doon sa ipiprepare na National Expenditure Program or the President's budget.
Pangulo, nabanggit din po ninyo sa inyong nakaraang privilege speech na may mga contractors tulad ng Darcy and Anna Builders, Wawaw Builders, that are repeatedly implicated in fake or recycled projects that are so-called ghost or guni-guni projects. Bakit po nangyayari ito? Ano po ba, meron po bang pamamaraan, Mr. President, na maiwasan na ito sa susunod, na ito po'y matanggalan na lisensya, na ito po'y makasuhan para hindi na po umulit pa?
Rightly so, Mr. President. We really should run after these people, But of course, we also have to rectify yung mga flaws sa ating sistema sa gobyerno rin. Because it is the PICAB that issues accreditation. Even to agencies na nabanggit na nga ni Minority Leader kanina na may kaso na sa Court of Tax Appeals. Nire-renew pa yung accreditation.
Nako.
Tapos single A lang yung ang categorization. Bibigyan mo ng pagkalakalaking proyekto. So these are things that we should tackle when the Blue Ribbon Committee resumes its next hearing. We should raise this issue with PICAB, with DPWH, with all the agencies that should clarify these matters.
Mr. President, I have last two questions. Would the good gentleman, the former chief of the Philippine National Police, that the existing or that the specific gaps or loopholes in the current accountability chain from project design to fund release to monitoring allow corruption and inefficiency to persist unchecked?
We should not allow, Mr. President. And we have this mandate of oversight, because pag nagpasa tayo ng batas, our duty doesn't stop there. We should monitor, we should exercise our oversight function as members of the Senate, as members of Congress, to see to it that the law that we passed are properly implemented. In this case, the General Appropriations Act.
Mr. President, would you agree to have an independent third party
Yun.
inspection of projects to detect ghost projects and substandard construction in real time kasi po may sabwatan na ang DPWH at ang COA. So, sang-ayon po ba kayo na magkaroon ng third-party inspection?
Yun ang maganda. Dapat talaga meron yan.
Sangayon po ako, Mr. President. Distinguished gentleman from Palawan.
Regarding calls for independent audit investigation, would you support including local community-led monitoring or citizen reporting platforms to add another layer of oversight, Mr. President?
I agree, Mr. President.
Finally po, Mr. President, would you happen to know ang kontraktor na kamag-anak po ng isang COA official or other government agencies?
Alam po natin lahat yan, Mr. President.
Maraming salamat po, Mr. President. Now I yield the floor. Thank you.
At yun na nga mga kababayan, hanggang dito na lang po ang ating video. Kung ano man po ang inyong opinion at suggestion, i-comment nyo na po sa ibaba. Naway maging kabahagi po tayong lahat tungo sa pagsulong at pag-unlad ng ating pinakamamahal na bansang Pilipinas. Ingat po kayo palagi at maraming salamat.